What is up? My name is Natasha Bryan. I'm a psychotherapist and a confidence mindset coach. And I can recall at my tender year 25, I am in my first career postgraduate school and I'm in my supervisor's office and she's giving me feedback on my work performance. And she was telling me that she needs me to be more aggressive. And I could not understand what she meant as this. I'm in the role of a school social worker as a school social worker, and I feel like I'm doing all things. My students, they're receiving progress and I have good rapport with staff and students. And so I couldn't understand what she meant. And she began to elaborate in saying that as a school social worker, my voice, I have a different voice, a different point of view to bring to the leadership team because I was on a leadership team. And the purpose of me having this leadership role is to bring that point of view, to be able to help the staff see different behaviors or different issues or problems from a perspective of the mental health. And I just couldn't understand, like, but I'm doing those things, right? And I just couldn't get it. And I also, to be honest, it's my first job. So I didn't really even know who I was as a school social worker yet. I didn't really know, you know, authentically, what did that mean for me? I knew what it meant by the job description, but what did that mean for Natasha? I was completely lost on that aspect. And I was lost when she gave me this feedback. And I took it more as a dig of me not doing my job well instead of taking it as a push to do better and to really show up as my authentic self unapologetically. And let's fast forward now, 5 years later, still a school social worker, but at a different location. And I'm at the table, the leadership table, and I'm doing the thing that 5 years ago, my supervisor was telling me and encouraging me and empowering me to do, to be more assertive and more aggressive in how I show up in these meetings. And at this point, I understood what she meant. And so because now I'm more confident in who I am as a school social worker and what I bring to the table professionally and the knowledge I have and being more confident in the knowledge that I have and the training and the experience. And so I'm doing that. I'm now speaking up. I'm now advocating for client students and families in a different way. I'm challenging my coworkers to really show up for our families. And I'm not getting the praise of like, yes, Natasha, you're doing it. Instead, I got pushback and I was called sassy. It was a joke. It wasn't in nothing where they were giving it in a negative way, like condemning me, but it still was the underlying joke of you doing too much. Here comes Natasha. She has to be the one to say something, making us do work. And I would say yes. And I did. I would say times I would question myself and say, well, maybe I am doing too much. Maybe I shouldn't be so assertive at these tables. But I'm like, no, I know what our students need and I'm advocating for it. And ethically, I know what I stand for. And so I own the sassiness. And I would say, yeah, I'm being sassy because y'all need to do y'all job. Right. And then let's fast forward another 5 years. And I am now back in my supervisor's office. But this time, I'm even more confident in who I am. And I'm more assertive in knowing what I bring to the table because now I've been in the game for a while and I've seen the effects, the positive effects that um, clients and families and students have had as a result of my services. And I've seen the changes I'm able to produce and the knowledge I'm able to share with colleagues and the support I'm able to provide to produce effective change within the people that I serve. And so now I come standing up and advocating in ways that I know what I'm doing is right. And I know what I'm doing is helpful for the people that I'm serving. And I'm standing firm in my beliefs. And I'm in my supervisor's office. And as a result of that, the feedback I'm getting is I'm too aggressive now. I'm not being a team player, all because I'm not advocating the way they want me to advocate. I'm not advocating in the box that they want me to be in. And because at this point, I'm really firmly walking in my authentic life and as my authentic self. And I'm very clear what my purpose is in the career that I'm in, right? That I didn't allow that to bend me or cause me to question who I am. It definitely caused a lot of my coworkers, because some coworkers would get similar feedback because they're trying to conform us to show up the way they want us to show up. And I said, no. Mm-mm. And at that point, I knew it was time for me to go. I would leave before I allow someone to cause me to question who I am authentically and cause me to try to change or shift who I am. And also cause me to walk off the path that's taking me on my purpose. And then as a social worker, or as a psychotherapist, I also recognize that as I'm talking with my clients, I have clients, professional women, who are going through similar things where they want to show up as their authentic self, but they are fearful of the pushback, or they receive pushback, whether it's from family, whether it's from in professional settings, and it's causing them to question, should I even show up this way? Maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe I need to change who I am, or just not show up as that person, but show up as the version that people want me to show up as, so that then people will be pleased with me and then I don't get judged or negative feedback. And so that's when I decided I want to help professional women start walking in their authentic, walking as their authentic self and walking in their purpose. Because when I started doing that, nothing could stop or change me from who I knew I was, and stop me from going where I know I needed to be going. And that's why I created this 8-part series, Lessons for Authentic and Purpose Driven Living. Because I want to help every single professional woman to not only walk as her authentic self in her career and walk in her purpose within her career, but also within her personal life, and to live her best life as her best self unapologetically. And so today I'm going into lesson number 1, changing the narrative you are saying about yourself. Because part of authentic living is being able to have the narrative that's going to celebrate and be able to appreciate who you are authentically. And it's also a narrative that's helping you recognize what your purpose is, and that you deserve to live in that purpose, and you have the abilities to walk in that purpose. But sometimes how we're showing up presently is blocking us from showing up authentically and walking in our purpose. And so my first challenge for you is to think about, how are you showing up now? Presently, your present self, who is this version? And why are you even showing up as that version? Where did she come from? Why are you showing up as that version of yourself? Those different characteristic traits, those different roles. Why are you in those roles? Why are you showing up as that version? And you may be thinking, Natasha, well, how do I even break that down? Well, I have another challenge for you. Here's an exercise you can do. I want you to list all the different roles and labels you've been given all your life. For example, a role that I've been, or a label that I've been given, is dependable. And you might be thinking, Natasha, that's not a bad label. And no, it's not a bad label, because not all labels are bad and not all labels are good. And not all good labels are good labels. And so when people will label me as dependable, of course, that is a compliment, right? But then there's pressures and expectations that come with being the dependable one, right? It's like you're always labeled as the one to make sure everybody else is good. We know if we're with Tasha, then we'll be good because she'll make sure that everything is good. And it's like, well, what if I don't want to what if I don't want to have that responsibility today? What if I want to be the one that's messy today? What if I want to be the one that that makes a mistake and you have to look out for me? Like, what about that? And so, because of that, there was often this pressure of needing to be the one that's always on our P's and Q's, making the right decisions or looking out for everybody else, because I was dependent. I was the one who people were depending on to do that for. Even the parents. I remember in high school, one of my friends' parents would say, "Oh, well, I know if you're out with Tasha, you'll be fine. So you're okay." But if she was hanging out with another friend, the mom would either give her a curfew or say she couldn't go. But when she was out with me, because I was a dependable one, trustworthy one, responsible one, these are all the labels, right? It was okay. And I can remember being in the house and I'm like, don't put this pressure on me. Like, I'm thinking of myself as her mom is saying this to her. I'm like, don't put this pressure. That's a lot of pressure for you, an adult that I care about, and I, appreciate your opinion of me. What if she come back and not making the right choice? Am I gonna get blamed for this? Right. So it's like thinking about those labels. What are those labels for you? Is it you're the planner? You're the one everybody comes to plan something. You're the one that's the problem solver, fixing everything. You are maybe some negative ones or unhealthy ones like lazy or unmotivated or bougie, or what are those labels, and how? Here's the second thing to think about after you list those labels. How have those labels shaped how other people perceive you? What kind of expectations has those labels put on you, or that you've been putting on yourself as a result of the labels? And how have these labels or these roles, whatever, if there's roles that you've been showing up as, how has that shaped how you see yourself? And this is a challenge here, because a lot of times these labels are not ones that you have given yourself. A lot of the labels are what people have given you, which then prevents you from really being your authentic self, because you're showing up as the version that people are expecting you to show up as, the version that people want you to show up as to help them out, that betters their lives, or that they think is best for you, and not based on what you think is best for you or what would better your life. And so the narrative that you have of yourself a lot of times is shaped by the labels that have been put on you, not the labels that you have given yourself. And the last part of this is then asking yourself, do I even want these labels? What labels do I actually want? And what labels do I want to get rid of? And again, not every good label is the right label. And so thinking about that, and you may be thinking, well, how do I know what's the quote unquote right label? Well, think about what labels, what roles, and labels are just more like characteristic traits, to be honest, right? The version that you want to be. Think about who you want to be, that future version of yourself. And then the present version, like how you want to show up presently and how you want to show up in your future. What characteristic traits will help you become that version of yourself? What characteristic traits, what roles will help you become your best self and live your best life? And as you are thinking about this, you have to be unapologetic about it. Because as soon as you take other people's opinions in consideration, other people's expectations, and not want to disappoint other people or worrying about what people will think about it, if you show up as the version you want to show up, your authentic self, then you are no longer showing up as your authentic self. You are now shaping the narrative to be the version that people want you to be instead of being the version you want to be. And then that's going to cause you to go down the purpose path that people have for you. So it's really not your purpose. So that's lesson number one, changing the narrative. The lesson number one for authentic and purpose driven living is changing the narrative you are saying about yourself. And as you can see, school is in session, y'all. Yes. And so every single lesson, there will be some challenges that I will be giving you to really start activating your authentic self and start living that purpose driven life. We don't have time to waste. There is no time to waste. Act now, because there may not be a tomorrow. Act now. And so I can't wait to come back to you for lesson number 2. And I end all my videos like this. Make sure you be safe, be bold, and speak life.